The Hall of Eternal Records was the oldest place in the galaxy. It sat deep beneath the capital world of the Galactic Council, buried under miles of stone and metal. For 10,000 years, it had held the collected knowledge of 1,000 species. Every treaty, every discovery, every war, every birth and death. It was all here, preserved for eternity. Also the galaxy believed. Archivist Silene walked the silent corridors, her slender form barely casting a shadow in the dim light. She was ethereal, tall and thin, with pale skin that seemed to glow in the darkness. She had worked in the archives for 300 years. She knew every section, every shelf, every data crystal. She knew where the oldest records were kept. She knew where the newest were stored. She knew this place like she knew her own mind. Or so she believed. She was searching for records of an old trade dispute. A minor thing, barely worth her time. But she was thorough. She always was. She walked through Section 7, then Section 8, then Section 9. She was passing into Section 10 when she stopped. Something was wrong. She stood in the corridor, looking at the empty space before her. There should have been shelves here. Rows of them, filled with data crystals from the old times. She had walked past them every day for 300 years. She knew the way the light fell on them. She knew the way the dust gathered in the corners. Now there was nothing. Just a blank wall, smooth and seamless, like it had always been there. Silene stared at the wall. She reached out and touched it. The stone was cold. Solid. It felt real. But she knew it was not. She had walked this corridor 1,000 times. She had seen what was here. And what was here was gone. She reported her finding to her supervisor, an ancient Xylos named Vorth. He was old, his scales gray with age, his eyes clouded with years. He had been in the archives longer than anyone. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had seen the council grow from a small alliance to the ruling power of the galaxy. He listened to her report in silence. His face did not change. His eyes did not move. When she finished, he spoke. "There is no missing section," he said. His voice was flat. "Empty. Your memory is playing tricks. You have worked too long. Go home. Rest. Do not speak of this again." Silene wanted to argue. She wanted to tell him she knew what she had seen. But something in his eyes stopped her. Something old. Something cold. Something that did not want to be found. She went home. She did not rest. That night, she returned to the archives. The corridors were empty. The lights were dim. She moved through the shadows, her heart beating fast, her hands steady. She carried a deep scanner, a device that could see through walls, through stone, through lies. She reached Section 10. She raised the scanner. The device hummed softly, its light sweeping across the blank wall. And then it showed her what was behind. A room. A hidden room, sealed for thousands of years. The walls were made of a metal she did not recognize, a metal that did not appear in any of her records. The door had no handle, no lock, no mechanism she could see. But it had a symbol she had never seen before. A planet, blue and green, surrounded by stars. Silene reached out and touched the symbol. The door opened. Inside, the room was small, bare. A single data crystal sat on a pedestal in the center. The air was old and dry. Nothing had touched this room for a very long time. Silene picked up the crystal. It was warm in her hand. She hesitated. Something deep inside had told her to put it back, to leave, to forget, to pretend she had never found anything. But she was an archivist. Her purpose was to preserve knowledge, not hide it. She activated the crystal. Images filled the room. Ancient ships, ancient battles, ancient faces. And then she saw them. Beings that looked like nothing she had ever seen. They were not scaled like the Xylos. Not furred like the Kirathai. Not feathered like her own people. Their skin was soft. Their faces were flat. Their eyes held something she could not name. She watched for hours. She watched as the images showed her the truth. The truth that had been buried for 10,000 years. The Galactic Council was not always the ruling power. Before them, there was another. A species that spanned the galaxy. A species that built wonders beyond imagination. A species that was kind, peaceful, and powerful beyond measure. The humans. And then the final image appeared. A meeting. Ancient beings, the founders of the council, sitting in judgment. And before them, a human. Old. Tired. Alone. "You want our worlds," the human said. "Our knowledge. Our power. You cannot have them. So we will give them to you instead. We will leave. We will go where you cannot follow. And we will wait. For 10,000 years, we will wait. And when we return, we will remember. We will remember what you did. We will remember what you took. And we will decide if you are worthy of what we left behind. The image faded. The crystal went dark. Silene stood in the hidden room, her hands shaking. She understood now. The council did not rise to power. They stole it. They took everything from the humans, the worlds, the knowledge, the history, and then they erased them. They made the galaxy forget. But the humans did not die. They left. They went somewhere no one could find them. And they have been waiting. For 10,000 years, they have been waiting. And now, the truth is coming back. Silene knew she could not keep the truth to herself. For 3 days, she sat in her small room, the data crystal hidden beneath her bed, her mind racing. She thought about the human in the final image. Old, tired, alone, giving away everything his people had built because he believed in something better. She thought about the council, sitting in judgment, taking what was not theirs, burying the truth so deep that no one would ever find it. She made her decision. She copied the data crystal. She made 100 copies, then 1,000. She began to share them. Quietly at first. A word here, a file there. She gave copies to her fellow archivists, to the scientists she knew, to the historians who had always wondered why there were gaps in the old records. She gave copies to anyone who would listen. The truth spread like fire. Within weeks, whispers of the ancient humans were heard across the capital world. Within months, the whispers had spread to every corner of the galaxy. The council tried to stop it. They denied everything. They deleted files. They threatened anyone who spoke the name of the humans. They sent soldiers to seize the data crystals and arrest those who carried them. But the truth did not go away. It grew. It spread. Every time the council tried to bury it, more people began to ask questions. Why were there missing sections in the archives? Why did the old records not match the new ones? Why did the council fear the truth so much? And then the technology began to wake up. On 100 worlds, ancient structures that had sat silent for millennia began to hum with power. Massive gates, buried beneath mountains, rose from the ground. Towers, hidden in the depths of oceans, broke the surface and reached for the stars. Ships, buried in the ice of dead moons, warmed their engines and prepared to fly. The council was in chaos. They sent scientists to study the structures. They sent engineers to disable them. They sent soldiers to destroy them. Nothing worked. The structures were older than anything the council had ever seen. Their technology was beyond anything the council understood. They could not be stopped. They could not even be slowed. On the human home world, a world the council had dismissed as primitive and unimportant, something else was happening. The humans had not forgotten their past. They had not forgotten who they were. They had kept the knowledge alive through 10,000 years of waiting. Stories passed from parent to child. Songs sung around fires. Symbols carved into stone. They remembered. Now the waiting was over. Dr. Maya Chen stood in a secret facility beneath the mountains of Earth. She was young, barely 30 years old, but she had spent her whole life studying the old history. The history the council had tried to erase. The history her people had kept alive. She knew about the gates. She knew about the ships. She knew about the truth that was spreading across the galaxy. And she knew that she was the one who would wake it. Before her stood a massive gate, buried for 10,000 years. It was the same gate that had appeared on 100 worlds across the galaxy. It was humming now, light building in its core. The walls of the facility shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The ground trembled under her feet. Maya held a small crystal in her hand. It was old, ancient. It had been given to her by her grandmother, who had received it from her grandmother, and so on, back through 10,000 years of waiting. The crystal was warm. It pulsed with light, matching the pulse of the gate. She stepped forward. She placed the crystal into a slot on the gate. The light grew brighter. The ground shook harder. A sound filled the chamber, deep and low, like the voice of the earth itself. And then the gate opened. Maya looked through it. She saw stars. Not the stars of Earth. Stars she had never seen. Stars at the edge of the galaxy, where no human had been for 10,000 years. And beyond them, something else. A light. A presence. A voice. "We have waited long enough," the voice said. It was soft, gentle, old. "It is time to come home." Maya did not hesitate. She stepped through the gate. On the council capital world, alarms were sounding. Every sensor, every scanner, every observer was reporting the same thing. The gates were opening. All of them. Across the galaxy, ancient human gates were opening, connecting worlds that had been separated for 10,000 years. And through the gates, something was coming. Not ships. Not weapons. Something else. Light. Pure light, spreading from gate to gate, world to world, system to system. Where the light passed, something changed. The air grew cleaner. The ground grew greener. The old wounds of 1,000 wars began to heal. Plague worlds, abandoned for centuries, grew new life. Dead worlds, burned by war, grew forests. Poisoned worlds, choked by industry, grew clean again. The council tried to stop it. They sent their best scientists. They sent their best soldiers. They sent everything they had. They could not stop it. The light was not a weapon. It was a gift. A gift left behind by the humans 10,000 years ago. A gift that would only activate when the galaxy was ready. When the truth was known. And now the truth was known. The galaxy was waking up. The old wounds were healing. The old lies were dying. And somewhere, beyond the gates, beyond the stars, the humans were coming home. The light spread across the galaxy in days. Wherever it touched, the old human technology woke from its long sleep. Healing stations rose on plague worlds, their lights driving away sickness that had lived for centuries. Terraforming engines restarted on dying planets, turning red dust into green soil. Data networks came online, filled with knowledge that had been lost for 10,000 years. The galaxy was changing faster than anyone could follow. And at the center of it all, on the council capital world, a massive structure rose from the ground. It pushed up through the streets, through the buildings, through the old seats of power. It was not a weapon. It was not a fortress. It was a court. A place of judgment, built 10,000 years ago and waiting for this moment. The council leaders were brought there. They did not come by force. No soldiers dragged them. No chains held them. They came because they knew they had to. They knew what was coming. They had always known. The truth they had buried for 10,000 years was finally rising to meet them. The court was vast, a dome of light and crystal that seemed to stretch up into infinity. The walls were clear, and through them, the whole galaxy could see. Every world, every species, every being. They were all watching. In the center of the dome stood a figure. It was not a human. It was something older. An AI, created by the ancient humans to watch over the galaxy in their absence. It had no face, no form that could be named. It was just light and presence and memory. It had been waiting for 10,000 years. It had seen everything. It had remembered everything. Its voice filled the dome. It was not loud, but it carried to every corner of the galaxy. For 10,000 years, I have watched. I have seen the council rise to power on the ruins of human civilization. I have seen them rewrite history, erase truth, build an empire on lies. I have seen them commit crimes beyond counting, all to hide what they did. The council leaders stood in silence. Some were afraid. Their scales were pale. Their hands were shaking. Some were defiant. Their eyes were hard. Their jaws were set. One, the High Counselor, an old Xylos named Thal, stepped forward. His scales were gray with age. His eyes had seen 10,000 years. His voice was hard. We did what was necessary, he said. The humans were too powerful, too advanced. They would have dominated the galaxy. We stopped them. We saved the galaxy from their control. The AI was silent for a moment. Then it projected images into the dome. Images from the old times. The humans, building worlds, healing plagues, sharing knowledge freely. The humans, welcoming new species into their alliance, asking nothing in return. The humans, peaceful, kind, powerful beyond measure. And then the council. The old council, the founders. Coming to the humans with lies. Betraying their trust. Stealing their technology. Waging war in secret. And when they could not win, when the humans offered peace instead of vengeance, they did something worse. They erased them. You did not save the galaxy, the AI said. Its voice was soft, but it cut like a blade. You stole it. You took what was not yours. You buried the truth. And for 10,000 years, you ruled through fear and lies. Thal did not respond. There was nothing to say. The images were true. The galaxy saw them now. Every world, every species, every being saw what the council had done. The AI continued. The humans did not die. They chose to leave. They chose to give you a chance. They hoped you would do better. They hoped you would build something worthy of what they left behind. The AI's voice grew harder. It filled the dome with weight. You did not. You built an empire of lies. You conquered and enslaved. You called yourselves the greatest civilization in the galaxy, but you were only parasites, living on the ruins of something greater. You took what was not yours. You broke what you could not understand. And when the truth threatened to surface, you buried it deeper. The dome fell silent. The council leaders waited. They knew judgment was coming. They knew they deserved it. The AI spoke again. The humans are returning. They will decide your fate. Not me. I am only the witness. I have kept the records. I have kept the truth. Now I give it to them. The light in the dome shifted. A gate opened in the center of the cot, a circle of light that hummed with ancient power. And through it, a figure stepped forward. It was Maya Chen, the human woman who had stepped through the gate on Earth. She was young, but her eyes were old. She had seen the truth. She had carried it. She was not alone. Behind her, more humans came. Thousands of them. Millions. They had been waiting for 10,000 years. Now they had returned. Maya walked to the center of the cot. She looked at the council leaders. She did not look angry. She did not look vengeful. She looked sad. Her eyes moved from face to face, seeing the fear, the defiance, the shame. You took everything from us, she said. Her voice was quiet, but it filled the dome. Our worlds. Our history. Our place in the galaxy. You made the galaxy forget we ever existed. You called us a myth, a legend, a story to frighten children. She paused. Her eyes grew wet, but she did not cry. But we never forgot. We remembered who we were. We kept our knowledge. We kept our history. We waited. And now we have returned. She looked at the AI. It nodded. The records are complete. The truth is known. What would you have us do with them? Maya turned back to the council. She looked at each leader, one by one. The High Counselor, the generals, the ministers, the ones who had built an empire on lies. We will not destroy you, she said. We will not conquer you. We are not like you. We never were. She raised her hand. Light spread from her fingers, warm and gentle, filling the dome. But we will restore what you took, the worlds you destroyed, the species you enslaved, the knowledge you buried. It will all be returned. And you will watch. You will watch as the galaxy becomes what it was always meant to be. A place of peace. A place of truth. A place where no one is forgotten. The light faded. The council leaders stood in silence. They knew they had lost. Not to weapons. Not to war. To truth. The truth they had buried for 10,000 years had finally risen. And it was not angry. It was not vengeful. It was simply true. And the truth was finally coming back. In the months that followed, the galaxy changed. Not slowly, not carefully. It changed like a river breaking through a dam, fast and powerful and unstoppable. The old human technology, dormant for 10,000 years, now worked at full power. Healing stations spread across the galaxy, their lights driving away plagues that had ravaged worlds for centuries. Terraforming engines reshaped dead planets into gardens, turning red dust into green forests, gray skies into blue. The knowledge networks, filled with ancient human wisdom, were open to all. Every species, every world, every being could see the truth now. The council did not resist. They could not. Their power had been built on lies, and the lies were gone. Some of them fled to the edge of the galaxy, hoping to hide. Some went into exile, their names forgotten. Most simply stepped aside, watching in silence as the world they had built crumbled around them. There was no violence. No war. The truth had done what weapons could not. It had set the galaxy free. Silene, the archivist who had found the hidden room, was hailed as a hero. She did not want the title. She had only done what she was meant to do. She had preserved knowledge. She had found truth. But the galaxy needed heroes, and so she became one. She was given access to the old human records, and she worked day and night to restore the history that had been erased. She learned the full story of the humans. Their rise, from a small world on the edge of the galaxy to a civilization that spanned the stars. Their golden age, when they built wonders that still stood after 10,000 years. Their fall, not to war, not to plague, not to anything the council had claimed. Their choice. She found the records of the old human leader, the one who had spoken in the final image. His name was Elias. He had been old when the council came, tired of war, tired of loss. He had seen his people give everything, build everything, and he had seen the fear in the eyes of the council founders. Fear of what the humans were. Fear of what they could become. The humans could have destroyed the council. They had the power. They had the means. They had every reason. But Elias had made a different choice. "We will give you our worlds," he had said. "We will give you our knowledge. We will give you our place in the galaxy. Use it wisely. Build something better than what you found. And if you do, we will return. Not as conquerors. As friends." The council had not built something better. They had built an empire of lies. They had taken the human worlds, the human knowledge, the human legacy, and twisted it into something dark. They had erased the humans from history. They had told themselves they had earned what they took. But the humans knew. They had always known. And they had waited. Now, deep in the restored human records, Silene found the final message. It was short, simple, left for the galaxy to find when the truth was known. "To those who find this, we are sorry we left. We hoped you would do better. Some of you did. Most of you did not. But we do not judge you. We only ask that you remember. Remember who you are. Remember where you came from. Remember that power is not the goal. Power is a tool. The goal is to build something worth leaving behind." Silene read the message again and again. She thought about her own people, the Ethel. She thought about the council, the empire, the lies. She thought about the humans, waiting for 10,000 years, hoping for something better. She closed the message and went to find Maya Chen. Maya was standing in the healing station on a world that had once been a wasteland. The station had restored the atmosphere, the water, the soil. Now plants were growing. Green shoots pushed through the dark earth. Life was returning to a place that had been dead for centuries. Silene approached her. She stood beside the human woman, watching the plants grow. "Why did you wait so long?" she asked. "You could have returned sooner. You could have stopped the council before they did so much damage. Why did you wait?" Maya did not answer at first. She knelt down and touched one of the green shoots with her fingers. It was small and fragile, but it was alive. "Because we wanted to see if they would change," she said finally. "If they would choose to do better. We gave them every chance. We left them our knowledge, our technology, our wisdom. We hoped they would use it to build something good." She stood up and looked at Silene. "They did not. But some did. Some species remembered the truth. Some kept the old stories alive. Some waited with us. And now, we can build something new. Something better." She looked at the healing station, at the plants, at the sky that was turning blue again. "The council is gone. But the galaxy is still here. And now, we can build it together. Not as rulers. As partners. As friends. That was always the goal. Not power. Not control. Just a chance to do better." Silene nodded slowly. She understood now. The humans had not returned to conquer. They had returned to heal. To restore. To give the galaxy a second chance. And somewhere, in the darkness between stars, the old human AI watched. It had kept the records for 10,000 years. It had seen the rise and fall of empires. It had watched the truth be buried and dug up again. Now it watched the galaxy rebuild. It watched the truth spread. It watched the humans, finally home. Its work was done. It was time to rest. 1 year after the gates opened, the galaxy was a different place. The council was gone. Its towers had been taken down. Its symbols had been removed. Its laws had been rewritten. In its place, something new had grown. Not an empire. Not a hierarchy. A community. Species that had been enemies for centuries now worked side by side. Worlds that had been dying now flourished with life. The old human technology, once hidden and forgotten, was now understood and shared. It had brought prosperity to every corner of the galaxy. And the humans, they were everywhere and nowhere. They did not take power. They did not demand control. They did not ask for anything in return for what they had given. They simply offered help. Wherever there was a sickness, a human healer was there. Wherever there was a broken world, a human engineer was there. Wherever there was a lost history, a human teacher was there. They moved through the galaxy like quiet streams, unseen but essential. Silene stood on the new Alliance capital world. It was a planet that had once been a barren rock, its surface burned by war, its air poisoned by industry. Now it was a garden. Trees grew where there had been only ash. Flowers bloomed where there had been only dust. Rivers ran clean where there had been only dry cracks in the earth. She was the keeper of records now, the one who held the truth. Her archives were open to all. No secrets. No lies. Just the truth, preserved for eternity. She was watching the ships arrive for the founding ceremony of the new alliance. Delegates from 1,000 worlds were coming to sign the charter. They came in ships of every shape and size, from every corner of the galaxy. Some had traveled for months to be here. Some had come through the old human gates, crossing distances that would have taken years in a single moment. They came because they believed in what was being built. They came because they wanted to be part of it. Maya Chen stood beside her. The human woman had not aged. The old technology had slowed her years, given her time to see the work through. But her eyes were tired. She had done much. She had walked through the gates when they first opened. She had stood before the council when they were judged. She had traveled to 100 worlds, healing and teaching and building. She had given everything. "Are you happy?" Silene asked. "Is this what you waited for?" Maya smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. Her eyes crinkled at the corners. Her face, usually so serious, softened. "This is what we hoped for," she said. "Not certainty, not control, just a chance. A chance for the galaxy to choose its own path. A chance for everyone to build something better." She looked at the ships gathering in the sky. They were beautiful, all of them. Bright colors and strange shapes, each one a reflection of the species that built it. "We left for 10,000 years because we believed in you," she said. "We believed that given time, given truth, you would find your way. Some of you did. Some of you did not. But in the end, the truth came back. And now, you have a choice. What will you build?" Silene did not answer. She did not need to. She looked at the world around her. The gardens that had grown from dead soil. The cities that had risen from ruins. The people who had come from 1,000 worlds to stand together. She saw what they had built already, and she knew what they would build next. The ceremony began. 1,000 delegates stood in a great circle, each holding a copy of the charter. It was a simple document, not long, not complicated. It promised peace. It promised cooperation. It promised truth. And in the center of the circle, a single light burned. The light of the old human technology, now a symbol of hope. One by one, the delegates stepped forward. One by one, they signed their names. Some wrote in flowing scripts. Some pressed symbols into the paper. Some spoke their names aloud for the records. Each signature was different. Each was beautiful. When the last name was signed, the light in the center grew brighter. It pulsed once, twice, 3 times. And then it settled into a steady glow. The alliance was formed. The galaxy began again. Later that night, Silene found Maya alone on a hill overlooking the capital city. The human woman was sitting on the grass, her knees drawn up to her chest, her eyes on the stars. The city below was bright with lights. The sound of celebration drifted up from the streets. But Maya was quiet. "What are you thinking about?" Silene asked, sitting down beside her. Maya did not look away from the sky. "I am thinking about the ones who waited," she said. "The ones who kept the truth alive when everyone else forgot. My grandmother. Her grandmother. All of them, back through 10,000 years. They never gave up. They never stopped hoping." She turned to Silene. Her eyes were wet, but she was not crying. "We are not special. We are not gods. We are just people who refuse to forget. And that is the lesson. The truth does not die. It waits. It waits for someone to find it, to remember it, to pass it on." She reached out and took Silene's hand. Her grip was warm, strong. "You found it. You remembered. And now, the galaxy will never forget again." Silene looked at the stars. She thought about the old records, the hidden room, the data crystal. She thought about the humans, waiting for 10,000 years. She thought about the truth, finally free. She squeezed Maya's hand. And she knew that whatever came next, the galaxy would face it together, with open eyes, with open hearts, with the truth finally known. The end.